How's it going?
How we doing, man?
Pretty good. It's a beautiful Monday morning. Markets are looking good. Excited to be here. We got some green backgrounds that they can't see, but it
Exactly.
seems like everything's green right now.
What are you talking about? We're in the studio, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, welcome to the studio, my friend.
It's good
Yeah.
to be in the studio. I have my white background adjusted, but absolutely. Yes.
Nice. So Goldie, yeah, excited to talk. You're, very deep in kind of the prediction market trenches. I think kind of this, emerging thing that, most people know of Polymarket, of course, and see kind of like the professional side of it. I think they're missing what's happening kind of at the frontier. So I'm excited to get into that. So you're the founder of Goldyverse Media Group, host of
Yes.
the Goldie Hour, formerly worked at Polymarket, and yeah, now hosting this daily show about prediction markets and kind of really digging into the mechanics and emerging influencers that are kind of coming up there. So yeah, I wanted to start. So you tweeted yesterday that price equals probability is the E equals MC squared of the 21st century. The only way forward for our planet is to generate as much attention and liquidity as possible to prediction markets to make the world a better place because casinos are evil. So just using that to set up this question of like, why are you all in on prediction markets? And then also why a media company?
I think twofold. One, I have a propensity for hyperbole sometimes when it comes to posting on the internet, and I like to have a good time. But I do think, like, at large, one, I'm very inspired by what you guys are doing, just in terms of, I think the media space is moving, has to move as fast as the markets move, and I think, with, like, an example would be the way TBPN saw the opportunity of All In did a show a month, a show every few weeks, but just so much happens in the tech world, in the AI world, and crypto, I would say even more so. Um, Having a media outlet that's not designed to, you know, how do we raise, how can we generate deal flow just to make the best content possible for, I would say, an underserved community is important. Like, I think you guys, Thread Guy, TPPN, everyone out there just doing content that is very polished, very high production quality, and not geared with any ulterior motives, just to make the best content possible because no one's talking about it. And I think, in a similar vein, like, all these shows, some, I would like to imagine some people are watching this live, but I think so many more people will get value out of the clips and get value out of the quotes and the content, and being able to just have a forum to go live whenever, and then being able to package that up into different formats to share with people is valuable. Kind of additionally, on the nature of prediction markets, it is very much trading on the world, on culture, on everything under the sun there. And Doma, I would say, is the MJ whatever of prediction market trading. As he put it, the biggest enemy of prediction market traders is sleep. So these markets never close. Similar to crypto, having media that goes 24/7, that is all the way on the line as much as possible, just to like react to this is incredibly necessary, because the way that ESPN used to do things, where Sports Center was, here's what happened today, you're already getting news from Twitter. So being able to get reactions live and takes on everything, not in just, here's, our weekly wrap up on what happened. There's so many things are happening, and there's so many, new narratives emerging, to the point where you can't, to do something once every few weeks is just, you completely missed it, I would say.
I mean, we've seen that directly. We had a weekly live stream that we did with one guest, and that one opportunity to talk about what happened over the entire week, and shifting to 5 days a week just completely shifts the opportunity, right? So I think we're at close to 15 guests a week, and you get to be. I think that this idea of the timeline really, and the market going hand in hand, right, is really key. And anybody's posting on X these days knows that if you're not talking about what is relevant in the timeline today, you're probably going to be posting into obscurity in some way. So it makes a ton of sense. I think we saw a tweet from John Wang. It was talking about prediction market traders, or where meme coin degens were in 2023. So I guess I'm curious what it's like in the prediction market trenches right now, and where are we finding the most successful traders? Where's their edge? What's the opportunity there?
It's a good question. And one, I think John's a phenomenal writer, just kind of, as a pulling the one quote I can say out of my communications learnings in college is like the medium is the message, and very like McLuhanism there in terms of you just have to meet people where they are. And I think the thing about prediction markets is, you know, meme coins are very much the highest asymmetric upside in terms of how to make money in the markets right now. And I think, you know, there's different things out there. And I think overall, like broader tokenized attention markets is very interesting. But I think with prediction markets, kind of in general, like every good, you know, every big story, every viral story is a good market. You know, I would say the example of the astronomer CEO fiasco situation that blew up on the internet. And, you know, Doma kind of dusted a lot of, you know, dusted off the keyboard to really trade heavily on that market and market making on Kalshi and Poly market. But I think there's just not as much. Well, one, Doma's always trading and he's a great trader, but I think there's a degree of the markets aren't as liquid as a lot of the meme coin markets. And I think doing, you know, having the market structure of AMMs with all these different, you know, attention tokens, content coins, meme coins, equities, or kind of smaller creator coins, I think prediction markets just aren't as liquid. So there's not as much of an opportunity to trade them unless they become more liquid. So I think, you know, any big story is a good market. And on the other end, every big market movement becomes a good story. I think sometimes it can be a bit pulled out of it to the degree of if somebody market buys a pretty illiquid market, you know, on someone to get confirmed by the Trump admin, if they put $1,000 into a fairly illiquid market via a market buy, then it's, oh my gosh, huge price movement. I can't believe this. What do they know? Sometimes it's just a factor of the illiquidity of the markets. But I think there's a flywheel, not to use the buzzword of the month, but there is a flywheel of, you know, how do you integrate real world events into generating market insights? And then how do you, you know, top traders on elections or AI markets might be more knowledgeable about these things than someone that has been talking about politics on TV for 15 years just because they're trying to sell ads. And I think there's a degree of, you know, the market structure very much regulates a lot of that, and there's the foundation that can be built upon. I would love to hear kind of your take on just overall like attention markets. You know, you guys very much have seen everybody. You know, I remember I heard about DGen for the first time when Yasik went on your show. Felt like over a year ago.
Did you buy?
Not enough, unfortunately.
Yes, that's a thing.
But I, you know, like I guess I would say the nature that these markets expire, that becomes a dynamic of, you know, ephemeral attention can be an issue and generate some degree of, you know, inflation with these tokens where there's just more and more and more tokens. But, you know, I guess my question is, by not having them expire and by not necessarily being tied to real world outcomes, that's where the price equals probability comes in, to where, you know, if someone is trading on something, the market has to resolve at a certain point and someone can just reprice that market. So in theory, if it is tied to the real world and resolution, you know, markets resolve as they should, the potential upside or the potential liquidity in the market is anybody in the world who can trade on these things. Because, you know, if someone buys up, say, Zoran to 99% to win the New York mayoral election, will he win? Well, he is a big favorite, but someone can make money on that margin and trying to reprice that market.
For sure. Yeah, I think they're just different games, right? Like I think the right answer is you should just go where your edge is, or where the, you know, the game you know well is, because it's very hard to be good at meme coin trading or LPing meme coins, or, you know, prediction market arbitrage, or like finding, you know, markets you have edge in because you know it or whatever. So I think they're all, you know, good in their own right and useful in their own right. And I think just because someone's making money on prediction markets doesn't mean you should go and try to make money on prediction markets, because it's very hard, and often the strategies they're running are kind of oblivious or kind of multifaceted, like, you know, arbitrage often is. So maybe do you want to,
sorry,
Goldie, I know you want to talk us through a few of the kind of most interesting
Yeah.
and hot markets?
Oh, sure.
Point me in a direction, because I have done so well on political bets. Like, give me the next election, we're going to be great, and then I just lose it all betting on the Canucks because they are trash, and I can't control my emotions around it. So if you could point me in the direction of some interesting things, I'd be
Totally. I
stoked
mean,
to know.
one, I would just preface this with, please read the rules on all the markets out there. Follow the law. Don't break the law. Predict responsibly. I I think I would say the key is to find an edge and not like bankroll management. I'm not the best trader out there. There's many better traders to kind of give advice, but the one thing I would say is you know a buddy of mine, kind of who goes by the poly market trader, has done very well focusing on the AI markets. And on Polymarket and Kalshi, they have markets on what is the top AI model going to be in July, in August, in September. Bless you, on LLM Arena. And I think there's a lot of confluence. Like, for example, GPT-5 was very hyped up, and there was some trading that indicated, it's going to come soon. It's going to come before the end of August, when it was kind of people weren't sure when that model was going to come. And then the odds on, OpenAI to have the top model soared. And I think a lot of people, he made a very sharp trade of kind of fading that and saying, there is a lot of hype, and OpenAI is in the business of generating hype around their models. And I think, there sometimes can be a split in the narrative around, OpenAI might like GPT-5 might be the best consumer product, but the market will resolve to whatever, scores best on LLM Arena. And it so happened that, Gemini happened to be that market and stayed on top. But, you can still make money in the margins, and you don't have to bet on a sports bet and just wait until the end of the game. There's a degree of being able to trade on these events. And, I think price sensitivity is a much bigger thing, because with a meme coin, Fart coin started at 50K, and you could buy Fart coin and hold it forever and try to bull post it to $1 billion or to $10 or whatever it is out there. I think with the AI markets, being able to really be tapped into culture and to tapped into a certain niche and not trying to overdo it. I think with meme coins, there's a degree of, generational wealth and taking a moonshot, whereas prediction market trading, kind of similar to sports betting, the best sports bettors are not the people betting every single game on the board in a 15-leg parlay. And a lot of people are making money off that industry by sort of like WAP selling the lifestyle, and they rent the Lambos and they got the gold chains, and they say, join my trading group, join my insert the blank, join my sports betting Discord. And they're making money by selling the dream. But in reality, if you're a great trader, you wouldn't need to sell your picks. I think if you're very good at something, don't do it for free. And then it's getting pushed even further to sell the vision that I'm a great trader, and sell the vision that, these people are renting Lamborghinis kind of in the sports betting space. Whereas, I would say my recommendation would be find a niche. I think there's so many markets out there that just taking time to learn and study and get very knowledgeable about a certain subject, you don't necessarily have to pick a niche, just kind of looking at the markets and seeing where things lie. I believe and hope that mention markets are really going to explode over the next few years, where, betting on The Bachelor is a great opportunity, but because The Bachelor is a pre-taped show, there's always the risk that data leaks. And as Vitalik said, these markets become information bounty markets. Whereas with Love Island, there is still a bit of a delay, but everybody watches Love Island. It's pretty much live. And any, in theory, I could bet on, how many times Josh will say this, or who speaks more on this show, or is the ratio of Goldie speaking over 70%, and maybe he should slow down and, listen to the smart people whose show he's on. All those different things out there.
Josh on Love Island is just an incredible thing for me to be thinking about right now.
Sounds like literally my nightmare.
You would crush it.
Okay, I mean, maybe, yeah, Goldie, last question before I let you go. So where do you,
Sure.
as someone, deep in prediction market sports betting, like where do you see the big opportunities to improve the experience right now?
It's a good question. I would say the one kind of on the sports side of things is that just the offerings aren't like DraftKings has maybe call it 1,000, hundreds of bets you can make per game, and you can parlay everything together. Whereas on Polymarket or Kalshi, they have money lines. I think sports futures are great, but I think one, having more offerings, which gets powered by having more liquidity on these markets, and two would be I think some form of leverage or parlays or a way to bootstrap liquidity in order to make these things more liquid. Because I think people shouldn't need to know how to use an order book in order to trade on prediction markets. And that's currently the main way you have to trade these markets unless they're super liquid big markets like, sports games or elections.
Yeah, my number one tip is do not market buy on these things.
Don't market
do
buy.
not market
Yes.
buy. Or at least look
I
at the
would
markets
say
before market buying.
Look at the spread, put out orders, and start slow. And also, ChatGPT, Claude, all these things are very good. And I would say, ask as many questions as you can. And I wouldn't say we're at AGI yet, but it's remarkable how much knowledge there is in these LLMs and they can access to help you learn on these things.
I mean, that was my secret. I made a bunch of money off of will the last election be have the highest voter turnout ever? And ChatGPT, baby, it actually gave me the prediction. I was like, well, let's just go. No way it's going to be COVID. We're all locked in and doing nothing else but voting. So politics,
Awesome.
I love it.
Well,
anyways, Goldie,
thank you so much, and I appreciate you guys having me on.
But where can people see your show? I mean, you're publishing
we
very,
are
very
on
regularly.
Twitter live, trying to move up to every day. It is the Goldie Hour, but just trying to bring on the smartest traders, the smartest people in the space. We had a very great conversation with Brian Flynn just about, bringing people on chain and how do you incentivize liquidity to come onto these markets. But yes, at Goldie Talks, the Goldie Hour. Thanks for having me on.